My name is Allie and welcome to my channel, and today I kind of wanted to give you guys a middle of the month check-in for the Booktube games, just to kind of show you guys how I've been doing, what I've been reading, how many pages I've read, and all that fun stuff. Okay, so far for the Booktube games I have read a total of 10 books, and I believe that 3 of them have been poetry books, 1 of them was a children's book, another one was a classic children's book, and then the other, I want to say, 5 of them have been young adult novels. I have my computer right here, just so you guys know, so that's why I keep looking down at the screen. So the first book that I finished was The Rose Society by Marie Lu, and that was one I had actually started in January, but then I finished it in February, so I counted only the pages that I read in February for that book. And then the second book I finished was A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, and the third book I finished was The Book with No Pictures by BJ Novak. The fourth book I finished was King of Scars. The fifth book I finished was For Everyone by Jason Reynolds. The sixth book I read was The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. The seventh book I read was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. The 8th book I read was The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. The 9th book I read, I can't count. The 9th book I read was Pride by Evie Zaboy. And the 10th book I read was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kammerer. So as you all know, I am on Team Ketterdam, and for my total, my personal total, I have read around 2,611 pages. I haven't counted any of the pages for this book yet, which is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. I haven't counted any of those pages yet, so far I've been doing really well. I've actually been reading every single day, which is really nice, and I'm so glad that I keep remembering to update the sheet, because I had a feeling that I was gonna forget, and I really didn't want to forget, so I'm really glad that I've been keeping up with it. And I've also been keeping up with keeping like all of my pages in order for my journal, which has been really nice. And I really want to show you all some of the pages that I did for my journal, so I will show you guys right now. So here's my journal. This is from Michael's. I got it for like $5, I think. And I would just want to show you guys what I've been doing. So I made a little page for the Booktube games. It's pretty messy. I'm not a very good artistic person when it comes to like doing lettering or anything, so it looks pretty rough. But I do have like all of the pages I've read on here and some on the back as well. So I'm keeping track of literally everything that I'm reading. And I don't really know how to do this kind of like system that I've figured out, but like it's kind of working for me, so I think it's okay. But I really love getting to journal and like add my pages read into my journal. I feel like it's been really helpful for me, and I actually really like keeping track of the pages I've been reading. I've noticed that like keeping track of them kind of shows me where I'm at and kind of tells me when I need to read more, because I feel like a lot of times I can just go like a few days without reading, and then I feel like I have to catch up like in a very short amount of time. So it's been really nice to just read every single day, and I really like reading over 100 pages a day, so I feel like that's something that I want to keep up even after the Booktube games. So I feel like this has been really good practice for me to keep up that like habit and to make it part of my routine. So here are the physical books that I've read so far, and these are all from the TBR that I made in January, so I've been really proud of myself that I'm sticking to my TBR, which I mean that's something that I normally do anyway, but this time I'm really like sticking to that TBR. I want to like read every single book that I set out to read this month. So there's King of Scars, Pride, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and The Thief. I think my favorite book out of the ones that I've read, because I've given 3 of these books 5 stars, but then I've given this one 4 stars, but I think that my favorite one has to be A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I'm gonna freaking drop all these books, but I think my favorite one has been A Curse So Dark and Lonely, because it's just so good. It's like my new favorite fantasy. It's absolutely gorgeous. The writing is beautiful. I really want to do a separate video talking about this book, and that might be up in maybe the next week or so. It is just so good. This has been really hyped up on book Twitter lately, lately, and it definitely deserves it. It is such a good book. I totally recommend checking it out. And then the next book that I really liked has been King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. This was absolutely amazing. I know a lot of people have been either they really love it or they really hate it, but I'm definitely in the camp of being I really love it. And I just love getting to know more about Nikolai and Zoya and Nina. They're three of my all-time favorite characters from these series, so it's really nice to have a book that's dedicated to those three characters specifically. So I've been really enjoying getting to know these characters more, and I cannot wait for the next book. It is going to be so good, and this book left off on the craziest cliffhanger I've ever seen, and wow, I was literally screaming when I read the end of this book. It was just so good. And my next favorite has been Pride by Evie Zaboy, and this one is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it is absolutely fantastic. Like, I loved this book so much. It made me want to rewatch the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which I did end up doing, and it was so good. And I just love any sort of adaptation of this story. And it's so surprising that I've never read it before, so I feel like now I really do need to read like actually Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. But this has been like just such a good book, and I was so nervous that I wasn't gonna like it, that it was going to be overhyped, but no, this book needs to be hyped even more. It is so good, and everyone who likes Pride and Prejudice or who likes any sort of like hate to love trope, you need to read this book. It is so good. And the last one has been The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, and this is kind of a hard book to review because it feels so much like a setup book. Like, this is kind of book 0, and I feel like the next book would kind of feel more like book 1 than this book did. This one is definitely more of an introduction to the world and to the conflict and to the characters, but I really did enjoy reading this. It's a super fast read. It doesn't feel fast-paced. It feels like a comfortable stroll through this story, and it never really feels exactly boring, but it's never like fast-paced, high-intensity fantasy. It's very low-key in that way. So I feel like the next book, The Queen of Atolia, would be a lot better. I don't know, like, I am really excited to get to the rest of the series, so I'm definitely going to try to get the second book in this paperback edition ASAP, so hopefully I really like it. I know a lot of people who love this series love the second book, so that's really reassuring, and I'm super excited. I'm very glad that I read it for February, and I hope that this will become a new favorite fantasy series because I love fantasy and I love finding new series to fall in love with. So currently I have been reading The School for Good and Evil by Saman Chainani, and I am exactly 170 pages into it. And that's about, it's not even halfway through. This is a pretty thick book, but I have been really enjoying it. It's been a really weird transition to kind of start reading middle grade when I'm so used to young adult, but it's been a very pleasant transition, and it's just like such a different kind of story. Like, I've never read anything similar to this, and it's so fantastical and silly, and I really love it. And there are some things that I'm like not super into, but they're just kind of minor things that I can really get over. But yes, I really do think that I'm going to enjoy this series. I have the second book as well, so if I do end up really enjoying this book, then I can read the second one because that'd be really cool. And yeah, I'm loving the pictures in this. Here's an illustration. I love that this has illustrations. I almost wish it had more illustrations because they're so beautiful. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. So here are the books that I need to get into for the rest of the month. I have Odd One Out by Nick Stone. I have The Last of August by Brittany Cavallaro. I have Vasa in the Night by Sarah Porter, and then I also have Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. And I feel like I will be able to get to the rest of these books this month. I have 14 more days, which doesn't feel like a lot of time, but I think that it's going to be enough time to finish these 4 books at least. I feel like maybe if I can get all of these books done next week, I might be able to pick up a few extra books, which will be super cool. And I think after this, I don't really know what I want to read. I might want to read like Enchantée by Gita Trelease, or I want to finish The Gilded Wolves by Rashti Chakshi. I want to read On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. So I have a few books in mind lined up for if I finish the rest of these on my TBR. I really don't want to stray too far from my TBR, so as much as I want to pick up on Shantae, I'm going to put it off a little bit and, you know, let myself get to these 4 books, see if I really like any of them. Well, I know I like this one. This one's one of my favorite books in the series, so I better like it. But yeah, so I'm really excited to get to these next 4 books. They're so pretty, and they've just been sitting on my dresser waiting for me to pick them up, so I'm super excited to get to the rest of these books. Also, I want to say a quick thank you to Mayana for putting on this Booktube Games. I have been loving it so much so far, and I've been having so much fun, and I can't wait to participate in other Booktube games, like in the summer or whenever you end up planning on other Booktube games, because they're going to be so cool. And yeah, so I hope everyone else is having a really good time participating as well, regardless of if you're in Team Ketterdam or any other team. I've been having so much fun being super competitive and just having a lot of fun with it, because I am like the most competitive person ever. So I feel like that's why I've read like 10 books already, because I am so competitive. So yeah, it's really bringing out the competitive streak in me. I mean, I think that's the Aries. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!